Hey, Mr. Tambourineman, play a song for me. In the jingle jangle morning, I come following you. Though I may know the evening's empire has returned into sand, vanished from your hand, left me blindly here to stand, but still not sleeping. My weariness amazes me, I'm branded on my seat. I have no one to meet, why my boots just keep me wandering. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. In the jingle jangle morning, I come following you. Okay, we've been given another song. It's also another song that I normally play. This is new to me. All these new songs. Although they were part of what I grew up with. Right, so we're going to put the Obey No Organisation card away because we finished that one. And perhaps we need, I knocked something over there, and perhaps we need a candle as well. I hope this video doesn't get chopped off because my battery's running out. A candle in the picture. Just a bit of a glow really. Okay. Here goes, let's have the next card. Which one? This one. Tripping up. There's too many objects in this house. This one. This one. We're getting rid of what, we're eliminating the card that it isn't, so that we can get properly through the pack. That one. That one. Okay. PowerPoint. The PowerPoint. Okay. Well, I'm going to colour this in, and then we'll have a little talk about it. Well, we did colour it in and we did have a little talk about it and the volume was no good because I forgot to unplug the microphone, change the volume level, and it turned out that it recorded at the wrong volume. So scrap all that, start again. And I did it in the other chair, and now I'm over here because I had a few signs of the times that I shouldn't be doing it over there, I should be doing it over here. And right now I'm using this microphone for the first time to record a video, so I'm going to see how that turns out. So first of all, I'll show you the card. I did colour it in. If you can see that. I don't know why the dog's barking. Well, I'll go through that in a minute. We'll just check to make sure the sound's working. Well, the dog was barking because the exposure was wrong and it was a bit too wide angle and it was all distorted. It's the trouble when you're too close to the camera. So, the PowerPoint. So now I'm sitting in the PowerPoint in this house. And the reason I'm sitting at the PowerPoint in this house, is because this flask overflowed. I went to make coffee earlier on, and for some reason I already made coffee. I already had coffee, and I ended up making more coffee. And when I came to pour it in the flask, went to get the flask, it's already half full. So I poured what I could into the cup, and I went and filled the flask up. And when I first started, it all overflowed. Okay. And I brought it over here and ended up spilling it on the floor here. I thought, oh yeah, I get what's going on here. So what a PowerPoint is, it's a place where energy is overflowing. It's full of energy. Okay. And spiritual energy, so it's the energy of creation. You're able to create more powerfully in this spot than you can in other ordinary spots. And this power that spot acquires is from using it. Okay, so I'm sitting in the PowerPoint now in this house because I sit here all the time. Here's my little altar right here, and everything's around me here. I'm always sitting here and I'm working on my computer here, and all of the energy that I'm putting into my work and everything, it's all opening up like a portal here, if you like, so that the energy can flow nicely from the spiritual realms into the reality that we live in, and can manifest in a creative way. The creative way is speaking, playing the guitar, and also receiving, able to receive. And I can already feel that it's much easier to do it here. It's much more animated than it was on that chair over there when I did it earlier on. It's better. And hopefully the sound's a little bit better. This is an interesting object. This is difficult to work with. It's called a ribbon microphone. Normally a microphone you get close up to, but a ribbon microphone you can be a bit further away from. These are the microphones they used for the old mono recordings that they used to make in the 1930s and 1940s and 1950s. And when they stopped using these microphones, there was a certain quality that kind of lost really with the other microphones. And so I haven't really used it much. I've had it for some time, but I haven't really used it much. This is the first time I've used it to try speaking through it. So we'll see what happens. It's a little bit difficult to arrange it, but it's nice if it's not stuck in your face and it's just there. So hopefully it actually works. Right, now when I first found out about PowerPoints, I noticed them with respect to stone circles, yeah, because stone circles are an area of the land where stones have been placed and gatherings of people happen inside these stones, and so the energy is kind of magnified and builds up, and so you can feel the energy of these places. And the song that I was playing about what was the song? I can't remember the song. What was the song? The highway, no, it doesn't go like that. The highway is for gamblers. No, I have to stop. Okay. The highway is for gamblers. Yeah, that wasn't... Was that what I sung? Oh, I know why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I'm showing you that what I sing and what I play and what I sing, it doesn't just come out. It's not something that I've memorized. That it's something that has to actually manifest from the power of spirit. Okay, And it can just start halfway through a verse. It can chop the words and chop and change around. Some words can be dropped out. It depends on what the message is supposed to be. And so if you go over the song that I played in the beginning, you'll see that there's certain missing words. And I noticed the missing words was about when Bob Dylan wrote the song. I think he must have been stoned on, because they all just smoked marijuana in the 60s when they did this stuff, when they're out and about doing what I do without any drugs or alcohol. They all used to be stoned. And so kind of like, I think the words are sort of like staring into space or something like that, which is not, which you might be doing on marijuana, just sitting and staring. Whereas that's not what I end up doing when I'm doing my spiritual work, which I'm sort of thinking back now to the time that I was involved with stone circles, and what the song brought to mind was the Sunrise Festival, because this was when I was dancing freely the most. I danced the most, like this, hey, this Mr. Tambourineman, you can be this Mr. Tambourineman. The Tambourineman is like the high priest of the festival, yeah? The high priest of a spiritual festival, what the high priest does, he goes down there before anybody else arrives on site, and he gathers up the objects that he can find, and he builds an altar, yeah? And so, and from the altar he sort of sees all what was there last year, and you know, he's kind of manifesting the new that's going to be coming from the old, yeah, gathering together the old. And then he finds that somebody's dumped some sticks, right? Because he got nothing. The high priest got nothing. It's all got to be delivered by God, yeah. And so somebody dumped some sticks there, nice long sticks, so you can make a bender. A bender is like a little temple, the most natural temple that you can have. And this was it's called a withies, they're called withies, a building made of withies. And withies are just like sticks. Generally the best kind of sticks for doing this, for spiritual work, is hazel sticks. And hazel sticks are kind of like the most magical sticks. The hazel nut is the most magical object you can have on an altar. Kind of activates the altar somehow, the hazelnut. The squirrel is associated with the hazelnut, I suppose. And the squirrels are always squirreling stuff away. If you see a squirrel, you know it's time to squirrel something. There's something out there you need to get. Squirrel something away. Maybe go for a walk, see what you can find. We digress a little bit. Anyway, so I found these withies, and I built with them, stuck them in the ground and wove them all together like a nest. You know, it's no strings attached, just weave them together and make a structure, okay? Quite a large structure, about half the size of this room, something like that. And then I found some canvas, plastic, it was a tarpaulin, I think. Yeah, it was a plastic tarpaulin I found, and I put that over the top of it to stop the rain coming in, and I made that my home for the festival, right? For the start of, for the weeks leading up to the festival, because the festival starts as all the people arrive to come and start setting up, yeah, and so it's weeks before the actual people, the festival actually starts officially, right? So in that time I'm living in just a place where I found the withies and that, and just getting ready to bring the life into the festival. And eventually it came time to set up the circle of teepees, which makes the center of the festival. And this is like, when you set this up, it's like building a stone circle, because what's going to happen is these are all the main players, the main spiritual people that are going to be in the festival, main ones. And then there's going to be a fire in the middle, and all the main gathering is going to be there, and there's going to be people wandering about all the time, moving from teepee to teepee, because that's like the main spiritual stuff is going on there. And around that, there's other things, there's stages where musicians are playing. There's all sorts of stuff around that place where you can get stuff to eat. But the main spiritual work is being done in the circle, in the circle. And so I knew I had to be in that circle, and so that, they had meetings about the circle. I said, I got to be in the circle, And so okay, they said, okay, they know. And anyway, they set the circle up. I was probably towards the end of moving into the circle. And to move into the circle, what I did was I just pulled up all the sticks, and the thing just stayed together. And I got a few people, 2 or 3 people, to help me carry this structure just as it was, a framework of sticks or withes, just to carry it to the circle of teepees, And when I got there, they said, no, you can't put it here. We've had to put somebody else in there. You can't put it here. You can't put it. What the hell's going on here? I'm the main person at the festival, and they're doing this to me, And because they've got no respect. They don't know that you're the main person there. They don't know that you started it all off. They don't know anything about you, Because you can't talk to them about this stuff. They've got organisation and all that sort of stuff. You can't be involved in that kind of organisation. And so you just got to go with the flow. And so they said, here, put it over here. So they told me exactly where to put it. I said, okay, all right, I'll go with the flow with this. Anyway, I put it down, and I ended up, instead of putting the cover right down to the floor, I put the cover out on some poles. I put some poles in, and it was a square cover coming, and using the dome, if you like, to bow it out at the top, and then it went like a hat. It was, and the sides were open. It was nice. It was nice. You could sit in there and you could see all the people walking past, yet you were protected from the rain. And it just made itself like this. And I'm sitting there and I'm realizing, I'm looking at the layout and I'm seeing there's a stone, the circle of yurts is like this. And I'm like this, okay? I'm over here like this. Like this. Here's a circle of yurts, if you can see that. Here's a circle of yurts, and the fire and the people in the middle. And I'm over here, and I suddenly realised I'm the PowerPoint. I'm the PowerPoint of the whole festival, And the reason I knew about PowerPoints was from stone circles, because I'd observed that there were always PowerPoints. There was a stone circle, and then there was a single stone off to one side of the stone circle. They're always like this. And this is the PowerPoint. And this is somehow all of the energy is either emitted or received, probably received, because I've got this picture here of the energy coming in, and this is God. And so in the PowerPoint of the stone circle, that's where you can manifest the most creativity. Now, I can't remember an awful lot about this festival, but if I think back, all I'm remembering is what I need to tell you on this video, because I haven't thought about this for years. This is 2007 Summer of Love in Glastonbury, the Sunrise Festival. And so I remember that once I'd set my position up in the PowerPoint, and I'd made an altar ready. I think I got there was a log. I found a sawn off log, and I put the sawn off log as the start of the altar, and I just used all my stuff that I brought with me in my bag, and I just laid it all out on the altar. And my umin and my thumin and whatever I had on my belt and everything, I just put all that on the altar. So that started the main altar, And then I met this guy, and he's wandering around, and he walks in to my little temple. That's what it is, a temple. And he says, look what I just made. And he's got in his hand, he's got this huge stone that's carved into a spiral. and a spiral is the most powerful thing you can have on an altar. I've got an altar over there with a spiral on it, yeah. Quite often I have spirals on the altar, because the spiral, if it goes this way, is a symbol of creativity. And he had this big stone, and he carved it out of stone. He says, and this is his first attempt at carving. He never carved anything before. And here it was with this thing. I said, well, that's a spiral. That's exactly what we need for the altar here. He says, okay. And he just gave me this object to put the spiral on top of this log that I'd already made. I thought, wow, that's amazing. That's like a stone altar spiral of amazing quality and size. And just the work of a great master. He was a wonderful guy, great master. And he was like Hercules, yeah. He was like huge, big. It was impossible to imagine that a human being can be so perfect looking, yeah. Perfect he was. And so I took his, I'm an old guy, you know, thin old guy. I was very thin then because I had a lot of walking on the way, and a lot of activity, moving all the time. And yeah. And so that was the start of it. And we were able to put things on the altar, put things on the spiral that needed to be changed and transformed, and this is symbolizing the change and transform coming into the world. Okay, and eventually the world was changed. After we finished the work at the Sunrise Festival, the dragon sculpture appeared in the courtyard of the Library of Avalon, and the labyrinth appeared in front of the Church of St. John. And I did a video more in detail about that, so I won't say any more about that. Okay, so the PowerPoint. You're starting to get the idea of what it's all about. Now I'll take 5 and I'll see if there's anything else I need to say, and check that the sound is doing its job. If you go over a certain length of time with this camera, it chops into another video, and you'll notice that the last little bit where I said I'll just check to see if the sounds are right, that actually chopped off. You can see where it chopped off. Every time it chops off, you can see that on my videos, because it misses just a little bit. And I knew it. I knew when I said it. I knew when I said it, I didn't need to say it. I knew the sound was okay. I just knew it. But it's interesting. I could have, because it chopped off there, I could have just deleted that bit and just not had me say that. But I've left it in because so that you can see how everything's perfect and happening automatically. And the other thing was, I didn't know what I was going to say next, because I'm not allowed to remember anything. It's going to come in the moment. And when I watched back the video, it came to me, I remember now, I remember now what I put on the spiral of the altar. I remember what the main object was that went on the spiral. It was about this size. Okay, about this size. Okay. Now, one thing that you do at festivals is you paint signs. You paint special, what we call like fairy signs. The fair, they call it fair, F-E-E in German, and that's the fairy. And the Glastonbury is very much associated with the fairy people. And the fairy is just the nature spirits. And the nature spirits are all people. They're the people living freely in nature. They're not something that's separate from us. You don't see little fairies. That's nonsense, that. You are little fairies. Or horrible gnomes, you know, and stuff like that. And so a fairy is just a level on the great chain of being. And it's just like you study the fairy kingdom in the same way as you study the Egyptian stuff and all the different names, Seth and Osiris and Isis and stuff like that. You study also the different kinds of fairies when you go through your fairy stuff. And so I can't remember how many signs I made, but I know that I made one, the most important sign I made. Because what we're trying to do is What we're doing is we're making a sign that a new thing, spiritual thing of the Church of God is manifesting into reality. And that's what's going on at the spiritual festival. That's my work there. Nobody else knows what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. And so I had to paint the sign, and the sign said Glastonbury Fairy Abbey. Glastonbury Fairy Abbey. Now, the actual abbey is controlled by the Church of England, and the very bad people run it, and you can't go in there except you jump over the wall or pay some money. I used to jump over the wall if I ever had to go in there, and otherwise, because I never had any money, otherwise you have to pay your money. And the only open place of the abbey is the Library of Avalon. That's actually the real abbey, the Library of Avalon. And the courtyard there is the abbey courtyard. That's the main abbey there, where the courtyard is really, what nobody owns. There's no locks on the door, and it's always open there. So, the Glastonbury Fairy Abbey. And so the Glastonbury Fairy Abbey is the real abbey that God makes. God appoints an abbot, and the sign I was making was that Glastonbury Abbey, the real abbey, is coming back to Glastonbury, okay? And I think at this time I was on a level, I don't know if I was an abbot or not an abbot, or whether I only became an abbot after I made the sign and did all this work. I can't remember. And I might have been a high priest at this time. There's a position on the great chain of being called the high priest, which is not the abbot, it's something else. And so this high priest of the festival, I might have been the abbot of Glastonbury at this time. I don't know, I can't remember. But I do know that I was manifesting the abbey, so it's quite possible that I was not the abbot yet, that it still had to be made, yeah? And so, and the signs on the land basically was the stone circle outside the Church of St. John. The stone circle is actually, I say it's a stone circle, it was made with stones. Each stone was a different person, like there was Duncan. Each stone was a different saint of their ancient church. It's amazing, really. And it's still there, I think it's still there. It's not well maintained. It used to be well maintained. It is still there, in the grass in front of the church. And it's not called a stone circle, it's called a labyrinth. But a labyrinth is an even more amazing stone circle. Because a labyrinth, you can walk a labyrinth, and then when you get to the centre of the labyrinth, having walked in it, you get a download. You've activated the labyrinth in such a way that a portal is opened, and boom, you get like something. If you're sensitive to it, you've got to be sensitive to these things. And you have an actual experience. So that's another PowerPoint that we're talking about there, is to walk the labyrinth. Yeah. And what the walk in the labyrinth does, it takes you through all the different directions of nature, north, south, east, west. There's a special movement through it. And so by the time you've moved in all those, your body's turned in all these different ways, and now it's ready to receive something. So that's how that works, yeah. Now, if we go back to the song, what was that song? I can't remember the song. What is the song? Mr. Tambourineman. Mr. Tambourineman. If we get, what are the words of the song, Mr. Tambourineman? What are they? Hey, Mr. Tambourineman, play a song for me. In the jingle jangle morning, I come following you. Okay. Now the Tambourineman, he's like dancing steps in time. He's dancing around, right? And this is what caused me to remember the Sunrise Festival, because after I made this sign and we put it on painted it and then put it on the spiral stone to activate it, okay? And then at some point, and it sat on the spiral stone for a long time with all this work, and then at some point, high point in the festival, where everybody's dancing. They were doing the trance dance here, the trance dance. Now the trance dance is something that I took to the Bosnia festival with me, that's right, the trance dance. But they were doing the trance dance in a special big tent, right? And so with everybody's blindfolded and like dancing completely in the spirit, yeah. And there's like thousands of people there, thousands of people. There's like bodies and bodies everywhere. And so I end up taking the sign and dancing around the festival with the sign amongst all the people, showing them the words Glastonbury Fairy Abbey on the sign everywhere I went. And all through the dancers of the trance dance was through there dancing, and you know, they followed me. Some people followed me, and you know, in the dance and all that kind of thing, and around the festival. And eventually I stopped and I put my hand out like this, and all of a sudden this butterfly just came in the middle of the night, pitch black, just came and landed on my palm of my hand, and the wind was blowing. It was blowing hard. Like, how could this butterfly even stay in one place in this such strong winds, very strong? And anyway, I walked with the butterfly, and it just stayed there on my hand for 200 meters in this blowing super strong wind. And I walked over to a place, I didn't know where I was going. Then I ended up right in front of the fairy people's stall, the stall of the fairy people. And the fairy people behind that, I said, hey, look at this. And there was a butterfly. And the fairy lady behind the counter, she went and had a look, and then the butterfly flew off into the air, into the night. Yeah. And that was a sign that the Fairy Abbey, Glastonbury Fairy Abbey, had been manifested and materialized into reality, into the spiritual realms of Glastonbury. Yeah. And it was shortly after that I left the festival. I already told this story in detail, so I'll just tell it briefly. And that is, I had to leave the festival on foot, because it's like an initiation you're going through. Doing all this stuff is initiating you ready for something, the next step on the great chain of being. And so I had to walk out the festival. It was the middle of the night, yeah, and I got to somewhere halfway to Glastonbury, or on the way anyway, and I just had to stop and sleep. I found a tree to climb under. It was probably a yew tree. They're very good to sleep under because they're quite thick and you can get underneath there out the way. I got under the yew tree and it was freezing cold. I didn't have hardly any clothes on, just a t-shirt and stuff. And I slept there for the night, and I was so cold, so bitterly cold, but I just had to put up with it. And when the light came in the morning, I got up and carried on to Glastonbury. When I got to Glastonbury, for some reason I went to the Library of Avalon Courtyard, and as I arrived, they put in the statue. I'd just come to the festival where we manifested the Abbey, and they put in the statue of that great big dragon, the dragon of Glastonbury, probably the most important statue in Glastonbury. They put in that right in front of the courtyard at Avalon. I've told that story already. It's just a sign. It's just a sign of the times. A sign that Glastonbury Fairy Abbey is now manifested, and here is a dragon right in the courtyard of the Library of Avalon, which is an abbey is the library. The Library of Avalon is the abbey, Glastonbury. Every abbey is based around a library, and the library is the heart of the abbey. Okay, that's enough. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have some interesting trips on the way, dancing your steps in time with the Tambourineman. Okay. Okay, just as a postscript, the final video number that we just finished is number 1360. 360 is the number of a circle, 360 degrees of a circle. So that's a miracle, okay? That God finishes the video on the 360 degrees circle, the shape of the PowerPoint basically, and the sewn circle. All right. Now what we haven't done is we haven't picked another card, and so perhaps we should do that. I'll put this one away and I'll get the cards and we'll pick another card for tomorrow or the next day or the next video we're going to do. I'm not sure whether I'm going to do any more videos today. It's 2 o'clock. I might do, but I'm pretty tired, so we'll see how we go. Right. If you subscribe to the channel, you will get the reading for this card that we're going to pick in your feed. Man. Okay, so whatever the man card is, I don't know what that is. I just wrote it down once. I have no idea what the man card is. We'll find out in due course. Subscribe to the channel if you want to know.